A very good morning, everyone. Once again, thank you for joining us this morning for our webinar today. The webinar is titled "Is Fintech For Me?" and it is the first dialogue session that we're holding under our BFSU Support and Skills Up program. And thank you to all who have registered. And we're very excited because we've brought two very exciting names in the fintech industry to come and share with us their insights and their views of how our fintech industry will be like. And also, after the panel discussion, we also have a breakout session where you will be able to ask them questions up close. And without further ado, may I invite Brother Patrick Tay, our Assistant Secretary General of NTUC, as well as a Labour Member of Parliament, to give his opening address. Brother Patrick, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. A very, very good morning, and thanks for joining us this morning for our inaugural sort of a session and webinar. This session is hosted by our Banking and Financial Services Union, but very, very importantly, we have with us, as you can see from the lineup of today's speakers and those who are sharing, our partners, and in a way, I'm very, very appreciative of them because in Singapore, for the benefit of some of you who are not too familiar, we work very, very closely beyond tripartite partners. In Singapore's case, of course, we have NTUC in the labour movement, the Ministry of Manpower, as well as Singapore National Employers Federation. But in our Banking and Financial Services Union, we actually work very, very closely, not just with those organizations, but also tripartite partners such as the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the Institute of Banking and Finance, as regulators, as government partners, as well as our employer partners, such as the Singapore Fintech Association, Blockchain Association of Singapore, as well as many other in the ecosystem, including Association of Banks of Singapore. So we work very, very closely with the various tripartite partners within the financial sector. And beyond that, as you can see, very, very, very thanks to the great support from Prof. Keith Carter, Getty and team from the NUS School of Computing. They are powering SG Fintech in a very, very big way. And we are so delighted that they are helping us do much of the outreach. And also some of you who are attending today's webinar or dialogue are actually alumni or alums and of course participating in some of their programs. So a big thank you and shout out to all of them. And we are very, very thankful and supportive that particularly in the financial sector space and particularly in the fintech space, we have a great ecosystem where everyone is working very, very closely and tightly knit together here in Singapore. So later you'll hear from two of the greats in this area, and I won't steal the thunder from the dialogue later. But more importantly, today's session is for the benefit of all of you who are keen to find out more about the fintech sector, and of course for the Banking and Financial Services Union to share with all of you what we can offer. So shortly, Kang Shen and team will be taking you through some of the plethora of benefits and support systems that we have in place to partner you in this journey. And I'm glad to share that we have very, very strong backing and support from tripartite partners, including with the Institutes of Higher Learning. So I think the entire ecosystem is there, the entire support system is there. And the challenge is, how can we partner and do even greater things and better synergize as one big ecosystem and family. And many of you may be tuning in to this for the very first time and trying to find out a bit more about this space besides the Banking and Financial Services Union, as well as the fintech space. So thanks for taking the bold step and spending this Saturday morning with us, as well as all the panelists and moderator for spending this Saturday morning with all of us. And I hope at the end of today's session, I know there's a pre-session and a post-session, but I hope after this session, many of you will jump on board the bandwagon as members, as BFSU members. You can sign up and enjoy the plethora of schemes and networking sessions, as well as webinars, which we do, wholeheartedly do it for the benefit of the entire financial sector workforce. And on that note, I will hand back to the mic back to Kang Shen and team for them to share a bit more about what BFSU has to offer, as well as the S2U program. Thanks, Kang Shen.
Thank you. And now I will do a short sharing on BFSU as well as the Support and Skills Up program. So for those of you who are not aware, Banking and Financial Services Union, or in short BFSU, is an affiliated union of the NTUC, and everyone who's working in Singapore can be a union member regardless of your profession and your nationality. And the way unions work in Singapore, we either service a whole sector like BFSU does, or it could even service one company on its own. So for example, DBS has its own staff union, and most of you would probably be more familiar with our co-ops like Fair Price, Income, and Food Fair. So these are actually cooperatives, and all together we are all part of the labor movement. And what do unions do for our members? We call them the 4 Ps: protection, progress, placement, and privileges. So protection means that when you have issues at work, you can come to NTUC, and the union servicing your role will be able to assist you by either providing you advice or even representing you with negotiations with your employer, as well as for mediation services at TADM or MOM. We also protect our members in other ways. For example, we have an exclusive gift insurance that covers all our members for death and total permanent disability. There's no additional premium needed for this. For progression, we always encourage our members to go for training, and to do so, we provide them with $250 per year. This is different from the Skills Future that Singapore citizens and residents receive. This is for all union members, and they can use this amount to go for training at approved institutions. And we have a very special privilege right now for our members above 40 years and above. Their UTAP funding is actually double at $500. Our membership card also includes many exclusive offers that we renew very regularly. And I'm sure those who are already members would know about our link point system. We've revamped it recently, so do check it out as well. Over here at BFSU, we work very closely with many partners, as what Brother Patrick has mentioned earlier. And our Support and Skill Up program is one such initiative that we are doing. The purpose of this program is really to build an ecosystem, a community for banking professionals, as well as people who are interested to join the industry. We noticed that there's actually a lot of resources, but there's no common place to connect the dots, and that's really what we're trying to do here. We hope to be the platform for you to know the latest resources that will help you to advance in this sector, and not just fintech, but banking, all financial services related. So this program is targeted right now, our SG United trainees who are really our focus. And we're also looking at the fresh grads, mid-careers features, new entrants. And we also welcome our alumni from our institutes of higher learning, as well as other partners who are keen to share their resources here. So how do we benefit the participants of the program? We will be doing workshops. We are doing sessions like today, networking and dialogue sessions. We'll also be sharing resources, job fairs, and I'll be sharing a few resources later at our breakout session. And it's about connecting the dots, and we will keep providing you with the latest so that you will be kept up to speed and you'll be able to thrive in this industry. And just a sneak preview of what we have up next in the coming months. And without further ado, let's start our panel discussion today. And I would like to hand the time over to Professor Keith Carter from NUS, who will kindly be our moderator as well. Prof. Carter, please.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Kan Sheng, for sharing all the resources that are available. And what you showed is just a short list, Kan Sheng. I think there's some more, right, in terms of financial resources for startups and so many ways to connect. And of course, the Singapore Fintech Association, SFA, has a series of resources there. It's a matter of what you'd want to pick and get into. Well, I'm so glad to be here with you this morning and accompanied by Miss Carrie Soon, and she's a senior advisor and also looks after international public policy and government affairs at Ant Group. She's been a transformative force at Ant Group, having grown the team more than 4 times just since 2017. And she works with the Ant Group's markets, more than 100 of them, so around the world. And she was also called upon by other industry groups like Money 2020, where she's one of the advisors there. Hello, Carrie. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, morning, everybody. Well, good to connect, and I can't wait to meet all of you at the breakout session later. I'll just thanks, Keith, for the introduction, and thank you, Patrick and BSFU for creating this webinar, and very delighted to be a part of it. I always manage to learn something new every time I participate at these panels, so I'm kind of looking forward to hear more from other panelists as well. So just a quick intro of myself. I'm Carrie. So I'm currently actually in Hong Kong. So you can see the backdrop, these are actually trams in Hong Kong. So we have like very fun decorations of our conference room. But I'm actually on my way to Singapore. I'll be there hopefully around October. So that's also an indication how serious our company, take Singapore as a strategic hub of our key businesses and also our regional strategies. So I actually joined Alibaba and Ant 8 years ago. I was a lawyer by training, and then I joined with the mindset hoping to find out more, how this industry going to be developed. But back then, I think I didn't really have much idea when I got into the field. I was coming more from a professional background. But it turned out to be a really transformational journey for myself. So I'm very glad that I'm here to share more of my insight experience, and hope I can help address some of the questions that you have, which actually put you on guard or hold you off from exploring further. So currently I'm looking after the international public policy team from a global strategy perspective of our key businesses. So I look forward to sharing more about our businesses and history, and also some of the emerging trend that we've seen in the industry later on at the panel session. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And thanks for joining us. Zoom is great. We can have people from anywhere come in. And over to Ho Chi Wai. He is the country head of neo banking and new wonderful Singapore unicorn, Nuam. And in his role, he's been spearheading customer acquisition, a usage of the consumer arm, which is called Instagram, and now planning the next wave of growth initiatives. So he's come also from experience in MasterCard, working through connecting with MasterCard on this. And of course, they don't have small ambitions. They're looking to go throughout the world, connect everyone, make sure that we can do our remittance, make sure that we can achieve our dreams as quickly and perhaps as low cost as possible. He's also enabling digital transformation, which is very exciting. So Ho Chi Wai, welcome.
Thanks, Keith. Hi, everyone. It's an honor for me to be in this session. Well, I would definitely want to share my experience working in the fintech. After all, Niam is the first company that I've embarked in this journey of a fintech. And also the other facade of this is the fact that when I joined, Niam was a startup. We are still a startup. I think we would like to treat ourselves as a startup with that spirit and drive, albeit that we are slightly more mature now as a unicorn. But I would say that it's a tremendous journey in the past 4 years I've been with this organization. And I can show a bit of contrast between my past work in other organizations as larger corporates like in Singtel and StarHub and consulting versus life in fintech. So really looking forward to that opportunity to share the exciting stuff that we're working here.
I know a lot of people are curious about those differences. So looking forward to hear you share about that as well. and Member of Parliament Patrick Tay. He is Assistant Secretary General NTUC and currently co-chairs the Financial Sector Tripartite Committee, PME Task Force, and more. And he's also a big believer in making sure that professionals are able to make those mid-career changes that are necessary. An even bigger believer in the transformation that's necessary in mindsets of both the local business owners, local leaders, and of course, all of us as fellow Singaporeans. So thankful that Patrick has been supporting these type of activities where we can all get together, discuss, and see what's out there, share and ask questions. And so by all means, people in the audience, you can certainly queue up your questions for us as well. Thank you, Patrick, for arranging all this.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Maybe just a short one. Keith gave a very, very illustrious introduction, so a bit overwhelming. But like I said at the start, I think I'm very glad that we are able to assemble all of us here this morning. And for the benefit of some of you who are watching this or viewing this for the very first time, you see this is uniquely Singapore, where we work. I mean, BFSU is a labor union. You never get this in any part of the world where you have the BFSU as well as the labor movement with institutes of higher learning such as Keith from NUS School of Computing, and we have Chiwai and Kerry, both from very, very, very large organizations and growing organizations. They are employers, they are business owners. So here you are. And of course, many of you, including from the association partners such as Singapore Fintech Association behind this. So as you can see, we are very collegiate in this. And that's how we solve issues, overcome challenges, and more in particular, suss the ground sense and work together to make sure this entire fintech ecosystem works, and not just work, but work well and grow. And that's the working philosophy and the rules of engagement here in Singapore. And I'm glad, as you can see from this panel, we are really in this together, and hope through this panel dialogue to address some of your concerns, your questions, as well as share a bit more about this industry and as well as the labor market. Thanks, Keith.
Sure, Patrick. It's so true. We can't do this on our own at all. We really have to connect together, hear what the challenges are, and then see what the opportunities are. So with that, let me turn to our first question. To make Singapore a smart financial center, we have to come together and be a leading fintech hub. Well, to do so, MAS and Singapore Fintech Association has created this fintech ecosystem that's looked at by incumbents as a very positive development. And also, the one word could be insurgents. I'd like to say revolutionaries, perhaps. Certainly fintech startups, everyone who's jumping in, and not only from inside of Singapore, but many companies coming from outside in as well. Would you be able to share, Patrick, about some of the growth that's in this sector? What can we expect over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, to really talk about growth, we should take a quick walk backwards to see how we started and then segue into what we're expecting to see the next couple of years. In fact, I've been in this journey with the financial sector something like 5 years ago. Yeah, because what financial sector is one sector which we see a lot of growth opportunities 5 years ago. And therefore, we actually set up a industry transformation map for the sector. And myself, co-chairing MAS, a financial sector tripartite committee, actually when working across banking, insurance, asset management, and the various sector leads to look at our plans in terms of manpower growth, in terms of reskilling, in terms of how disruption can affect and transform jobs and workplaces. So actually the journey began even before the pandemic. And I'm really thankful and appreciative we started that journey early. So therefore, as you can see in the last 2 years, this sector particularly has managed to ride the wave much better than many other sectors. Partly because we are already very digitalized, we are already on the virtual space, and we are all, digital ready and of course, digital natives in more ways than one, including many of the staff and workers in this sector. In the last 5 years, also, Singapore has also driven quite a few initiatives, such as the Singapore Fintech Festival, in partnership with many of you all here who are actually participants or attendees, as well as exhibitors, and being involved in it, in that process. In fact, our conversations with big companies such as where Carrie comes from, as well as GY, where previously with Instagram, I think we've all been, in many ways, and more ways than one, been interacting, been working closely with the space. And therefore, if you look at what happened last year, when we were trying to upgrade and pivot during the downturn, in particular the COVID-19 pandemic, Institute of Banking and Finance, together with SFA, as well as many other of our tripartite partners, actually work out various schemes, very, very generous schemes, to help workers scale up, and including partnering with our CET institutions, such as our IHLs, where Prof. Keith comes from. And he has been never having a dull moment the last 18 months and really getting this sector all primed up. So in that industry transformation map journey, I thought good to highlight that we actually identified fintech sector as one of the areas which, in terms of tripartite support, in terms of resources, in terms of nationally as an agenda, the government is putting a lot of resources, a lot of help, and a lot of energies to really help this sector thrive and grow. And in fact, MD of MAS, on many occasions and many iterations, including as recently while he was sharing about growing timber, did highlight about the growth of the financial sector, in particular the fintech sector. Well, it has its own ups and downs, yeah, but like I said, I'm glad that we have both the giants here to share this morning, and for all of you attending, to ask them the difficult questions. But moving ahead, we do see, again, lots of job opportunities in this space. That's why BFSU and all of us in the labor movement are very excited, because we see a lot of growth opportunities amidst all this transformation, amidst the digitalization agenda, amidst us all trying to grapple with the next normal. I think we see a lot of potential, not just in terms of growth potential, but also jobs potential for people in Singapore. And I know many of our Singaporean PMEs, some of you may have been disrupted, particularly in the last 18 months, or even prior to the last 18 months. And therefore, we are excited to partner with all our employers, associations, and all of us joining hands together to grapple with the challenges, but at the same time also grab the new opportunities that are going to lie ahead, particularly for this sector. So I like I said, one pivotal moment is, of course, late last year, where MAS actually awarded a couple of bank licenses. That's why Carrie is, you hear her earlier, she's going to, come to Singapore. So I'm actually quite excited and hoping to work closely with Carrie and the team, as well as even with GY as well, being our unicorn after the recent blitz in the media on his raising of funds and capital. And like I said, from the BFSU perspective, the labor movement perspective, we hope, like I said, to get more of us actively engaged and employed in this sector. And that's why I'm here. And of course, moving ahead, the next couple of years, I see a lot of opportunities. Fintech Festival will continue. If you've not signed up, please sign up and be part of the SFA, because I know some of you are employers and trying to find out more about this sector. I think quite a number of us are already in this. So let's work together, and I'm sure we'll grab the numerous opportunities in this transformation process.
Patrick, that's right. I mean, you've talked about the jobs that are here, partnering, and you've been such a key force in that, Patrick. And as you mentioned, Carrie's here with Ant Group. They're opening up their digital bank here because they were one of the awardees you mentioned that in regards to the digital banks. And so we've got to connect together. Carrie, can you share with us, on top of what Patrick shared, let's look a little bit more. What is Ant Group going to be doing in Singapore? What is the license going to be looking like? And how will job seekers be able to connect in to Ant Group at this time?
Thanks, Patrick and Keith. Let me take a step back and just kind of introduce like the past 17 years of journey, how we create a unique experience in itself, especially in China. So when Alipay was started, we were really just looking to solve a very small pain point. That back then, I think e-commerce platform was just starting, so there was a trust issue between buyers and sellers. So buyers, they feel uncomfortable handing their money to the sellers for something that they would not be receiving at that point. So Alipay stepped in, and we were basically a product offering to the buyers and say, why don't you give us the money? We will hold the money on your behalf. When you get the good and you're happy with it, then we release the fund to the seller. So turns out that was like a hit, immediately breached that gap on trust issue. And then the e-commerce business basically blossomed from there. And then we realized there was actually similar issue on other e-commerce platforms. So we decided to set up an Alipay payment business unit within the Alibaba ecosystem back then. But obviously over the time now, Ant Group Alipay is a standalone independent business running on its own. So that was just an example showing how, when we talk about fintech, it doesn't have to be like glamorous and all revolutionary. I think a lot of people don't really often see fintech is really sometimes just really helping bridge the market gap and solving one pain point at a time. So that's the mindset that we took, and then we evolved from a payments business to serving financial products and credit loan, and then an insurance product to our consumers. And then this is where we are right now today in China. And outside of China, we also have spent quite a number of years working as more a tech enabler. We work with a lot of partners in South Asia region, including Singapore as well. And then try to see how we can be helpful to jumpstart that mobile payment business journey. So our partners, they don't need to start from scratch. So what we do is we really send people overseas in Singapore and the rest of the region to help train up the engineers of our strategic partner, help them understand what it means, and most importantly, why we're doing it, right? And what kind of impact we're trying to facilitate on the social aspect and also economic aspect. So today we have more than 10 partners in the region, and we work with, for example, Singapore partner EasyLink, and also work with a lot of merchants and acquirers in Singapore and around the region. So we actually have been in Singapore since 2013-14. And then we are growing in terms of, facilitating cross-border business and also the tech enabler role that we're playing. So on digital bank, I will save that for a little later so we can dive in a little bit more depth at that point. But I think all in all, the emerging trend that we see is with technology, scalability and helping local business to expand beyond border is very plausible. And technology here is really not to replace the human touch, but really to help enhance the efficiency, and then so people can actually focus on more the value-adding work, right? So I think this is also something that a lot of this audience you would consider. What are the values that is going to add to my career development if I jump into fintech from an incumbent traditional industry? What are the gains and growth that I can see, right? So being a lawyer in this space, I was actually have the opportunity to be involved in developing some legal tech products myself. So that was also a very interesting journey, just to apply the existing skill set and to see how I can incorporate that skill set with my understanding of the tech industry, and then how to come up with a product that can actually enhance efficiency in all ways. So that journey itself is unique and incomparable, with my previous experience. So I think just going forward, just because I'm speaking from my perspective, my understanding. So I think two things would happen, in the trend. One is more banks will invest into commercializing their products to digitize their product. And then payments platform, they will also expand into enabling all ways of the lifestyle. So I think, I don't know if any of you actually read the report, but there was a report released by Google, Bain, and Temasek recently. And then there was like a huge shift from like cash payment to digital payment. And the Southeast Asia region, the gross transaction value has jumped 15% within 5 years. So I think that growth, looking at the industry itself, the growth is remarkable. And if you want to be part of this transformation journey, I think this is still the right time to join, and then be a part of that change. And then I think there will be more consumer engagement. So think about, before, when you want to remit money, you probably have to go to the company counter physically and then put in your request. And they may take days for your friends and relatives to receive the money. So in Hong Kong, I have this personal experience where my nanny, like she has need to remit money to her family every month, but she was basically spend most of her Sunday holiday queuing to get her money instructions into the company so her relatives can receive the money at some point. And then, but now, with like wallet payment, with digital payment, a lot of these, things can actually be enhanced. And they only need to press a button. They don't need to waste time queuing up. And then they can make sure the money is also safely received from the families. Because before, they may have to go to a physical outlet to collect the money. And then they may run the risk of being robbed on the way home. So all these things, technology made possible. So think about it. If you want to be part of this journey, if you want to be part of the problem solver, I think this is the right time and the right industry to join. And, I think just looking at Patrick's backdrop, every worker matters, right? So that gives a very good comfort and cushion that, the government is working always to really make the environment more conducive for people who want to reskill themselves, who want to upskill themselves. So I am very excited to see this. And then I think a player like NUS as well, you're definitely the enabler, and having NUS, creating program tailored for people to upgrade themselves. I think that is also a very important tool and platform for people who can come in and find out more about the industry development.
That's so true. Every worker matters, Carrie. Critical. And as a result, we have business owners, leaders that are looking at, well, how do we connect the dots? I know, Carrie, you have some open positions inside of Ant Group as you come over here, right, to set up. Is that right? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, I think definitely we are continuing investing our business in Singapore and in the region. And then I think digital bank is something brand new. So we are really still in the phase of planning the business and work very closely with MAS on setting out the details. So unfortunately today I cannot share too much details with the audience. But, I think definitely we are looking for talents, and, with this huge growth in the industry and opportunities, I think it's important that we build the operation and make sure we have the right group and right size of manpower to support that growth. So, digital bank definitely is something that we are very excited and very fortunate to get a license to operate. So the focus is more on the wholesale banking to help SMEs, to help business to jumpstart and, grow the business, whether it's in Singapore or outside Singapore. And then we're going to deploy a lot of technology, a lot of solutions in our product offerings. And I think, that's also, one core, features, what we are going to offer to the market. So hopefully we will be able to work with a lot of local talents who want to join this field. And then I think a lot of the things also, which we will share later on is about the mindset, how open you are to learn, and then how quickly you embrace change, because this industry also evolves really quickly. I'm sure Chiwai will share later. So I think if you want to join this industry, I think there will be some questions each person will be suggested to go through to make sure you're committed and you're passionate enough to join. And then we are here basically to provide the training ground for people who wants to join us in this journey.
Carrie, that's so good to hear, providing the training ground for people. And Chiwai, you are part of the new Singapore unicorn, NUM. And so what does it mean to be a unicorn? What is it, you've been with the company, what does it feel like now that you've made it to this illustrious status? And of course, I have to ask, so what's the impact on your staff or potential staff as well?
Thanks. So before I answer the question, I think it's good to give a bit of the background about our organization, because you mentioned about Nian, and you can see my backdrop is about Instagram. So I think it's good for the audience to appreciate the differences. So Nian is the name of our organization. We started way back in 2015 as a company called Instagram. And our core focus back then was really helping individuals and SMEs who do their cross-border payments. As Carrie had briefly touched upon, I think there are needs for people to send money overseas, remitting money overseas. And how do we make it really simple, cost-effective, faster, better, cheaper for people to do so? And essentially, we build our own payment mesh rather than using the SWIFT. So if you have done it yourself, you have gone to a bank, raised the telegraphic transfer, and you pray that the money will land at the beneficiary after paying a hefty fee. So that's the whole inefficiency that we want to change by building our own payment mesh. Take, for example, if you want to send money from Singapore to Hong Kong, we have a Hong Kong FI partner where our funds, HKD, is parked in a nostro account in Hong Kong. The moment the customer wants to initiate the instruction to send the Sing dollar to Hong Kong, we will be able to trigger an API call to our partner in Hong Kong to disperse funds to any banks in Hong Kong. And because Hong Kong, just like Singapore, in Singapore you have FAST, in Hong Kong you have FPS, the bank-to-bank transfer can be real-time. So if you string together the whole journey, the customer funding us through FAST in real time, we trigger the API in real time, the partner is able to disperse the fund in real time, the whole journey can be fulfilled within minutes, if not seconds. That's really the power. And by cutting away the middleman, we are able to save a lot of costs and also improve the efficiency. So that's the whole premise that we went about to see how we can really disrupt this space, and a lot of customers are really appreciative of this and sign up our service. So we grew very quickly to the extent that we even attracted the larger corporates, like the institutional players and even banks who have been using SWIFT as an infrastructure and wanted to look at a better way to do so right now without waiting for the future. So therefore, they decided to work with us B2B and for them to improve their service for their end consumer. And that's really the budding of this enterprise business because the fact that many of these institutional large corporates want to work with us, we decided back in November 2019 to rebrand the company to be called NIUM, N-I-U-M, which is very focused on the B2B enterprise banking as a service. The fact that we have also expanded our business into card issuance. So we are principal member of Visa, we are principal member of MasterCard. What it means by a principal member is the fact that we can issue cards directly without needing a bank And it has so much potential because there are a lot of interesting use cases that SMEs, that the large corporates who want to issue their own branded or even help their customers issue the Visa or MasterCard. But Instagram is a brand that I personally been involved building this brand for the past 3+ years. We don't want to waste effort. We wanted to retain the brand name, and it will be the brand name that individuals and SME will use our app and web to do their cross-border payments and more. And why I say more is really about our plan to do a digital transformation. Well, I think as a fintech, we are always undergoing transformation, but this transformation is really expanding beyond our core business and looking at how do I provide new financial services, and starting with the Amaze debit card that we are launching. But really, while I may not have the digital bank license, but that doesn't stop me from doing partnerships to launch new financial services with partners. And then I think we have the right, because we have a captive audience. These are white collar, well-to-do, and we certainly think that we are able to provide a lot more interesting financial services to them. And to answer the point of what it means by being the unicorn status, maybe if I may share a quick screen. Are you able to enable me to share a quick screen? Just one slide so that I can put in context. Okay. So if you can see the screen, before we become a unicorn, maybe other than the Amaze card that we are in the midst of becoming unicorn, you can see lots of interesting activities that we have run. I know that's a question later, what's a daily life, but this certainly isn't exactly a daily life, but I would say these are some interesting moments in the life of our organization. So on the top left side, you will see we hosting an event for Gurkhas because they are Nepalese. They need to send money back to Nepal. We had the privilege to actually present the whole auditorium of Gurkhas, helping them to send money cross-border to Nepal. In the middle, I had the privilege to be in Barcelona presenting to Dr. Vivian Balakrishna on this Smart City Expo about the Instagram and the NIAM solution. We also had a lot of fun internally within our organization celebrating Christmas. Caveat, of course, all this were before the COVID days. And you'd also notice that we are the best fintech employer. So we won that award in 2019. In the bottom middle, we ran an event for targeting at Koreans. So it's a CHIMEC, which stands for Chicken and Beer event that we organized to sort of attract and connect with the Korean communities in Singapore, letting them understand more about our organization. And last but not least is this very exciting Amaze debit card that we have recently launched. That's how often do you get a chance to launch a bank card out there for individuals? So these are all very fascinating initiatives and activities that we ran. And for us to become a fintech now, it means doing 10 times more of this, albeit more of a collaboratively virtual way. But we are still getting many exciting ideas, and it's going to be 10 times more exciting than this.
Thank you so much, Chiwai. And yes, I'm really inspired by the picture of the Gurkhas there. It looks like you're really touching lives of people in a real way.
Touching many lives, many different communities. We did one for Filipinos, we did one for Indian nationals, Gurkhas, Korean. So that's the exciting part about our business. And I'm only talking about the Instagram part. The NIAM part of the business, which is enterprise. They participated in Money 2020. It's a lot more corporate settings.
And something I think if you're on the line and you're a startup or you have some sort of idea, this is important. What Chiwai is showing is don't hide it in the garage until it's perfect. Get it out there. Show how it can be used right away and to get people engaged. I think this is really inspiring to see as well. Pull the right team together. Chiwai, is that safe advice to share?
Indeed. Yeah, I think it's definitely a lot of team effort. Before we can even present in those events, there's a lot of preparation work. And for example, the Instagram Amaze card is a lot of preparation work that goes to launch this card. It's a MasterCard. You can imagine the amount of collaboration that we have to do with MasterCard. And this is a very unique card, unlike many of the multi-currency cards in this market. This is the first of its kind in Asia, where we can combine up to 5 bank cards into a maze for you to spend. So yeah, it's a journey that I don't think many organizations offer the kind of opportunity to individuals, but certainly it happens in our organization. And as I said, moving forward with our unicorn status, which for those who may not be aware what unicorn means, essentially unicorn means that the company is worth 1 billion in our valuation. I think in Singapore, there are more than 1,000 fintechs. And I think depending on reports, you would hear that in Singapore, we have less than 10 unicorns. And not all the 10 unicorns are fintechs. So that's how rare it is. But really privileged and honored to be in one of them.
Chiwai, Carrie, I'm sure a lot of people are very curious. And I was looking, Chiwai, we have something in common. We both worked at Accenture as well. What is it that brought you into this space, and how you've changed your employer career? And like you said, you've been in the Instagram space for a few years now. What mindset do you think that you have that maybe you feel is the most needed to make the types of change along the way in a career?
Well, I would say that it is really quite coincidental that I had this opportunity to join a fintech. Back then, I was working in StarHub, and we were looking at partnerships, and that's how I got to know the founder, who is Prajit Nanu. I guess I must have left a very good impression on him, and he wanted to see how I can join his organization to grow the Singapore business as the country head. And that certainly intrigued me because having worked in companies, larger corporates, Essential, in Singtel. Back in Singtel, I was handling and as a product management to basically build the Singtel Dash from the ground up. And going into a fintech, it means it's going to be a lot of unknowns and uncertainty because it's a lot smaller in terms of setup when we first started, when I joined them in 2018. And you would not know whether it's successful. As I said, in Singapore, there are like thousands over fintech. And how do I know that this organization that I'll be joining will be successful? But I was really impressed by the founder. I think I would dare say that a majority of 50% of the success of a company really lies with the founder, his charisma, his drive and passion and his belief on how he can wow the investors, build fantastic, world-changing product, that you have faith in him. I think that's really at the early stage of a startup. But of course, as the company grows in size, that is really about the strategy we have. What are the interesting world-changing ideas that we dare to implement. So I'm glad I make that move and really enjoying this.
Wonderful, great outcome. And Carrie, you share with us Ant's journey, but how about your own? And so I noticed that you went to University of Michigan, a very cold place in the wintertime, and did psychology and economics, and now you're at one of the largest fintechs in the world. Tell me about that.
Yeah, my
beginning was very humble. By the way, Michigan was like the coldest place on earth. So if you want to experience that, you can take a look. I guess when I was a lawyer, I was like asking myself questions, what it is that I want to do next, what interests me, what really drives me. So I remember those days when I was doing IPO, and then I genuinely enjoyed the interaction with the business team and understand the business plan. So when Alibaba was like looking for a lawyer for the investment team, then I kind of like raised my hand and I was like, put myself, on the spot, because I think it was, some people will be saying like it's too early to make that change, it's too late to make a change, right? But I think it takes a lot of reflection to ask yourself the question, what makes you happy, right? So I think I took that leap of faith and then came on board, and then it was like completely different from what I have thought. But I think it's important to keep an open mind, to continue listen and learn and ask a lot of questions. And then sometimes, like, being a legal, people come to you for all sorts of questions. And then people would be annoyed. And because they draw the line, this is not my job. Like, why am I entertaining all these questions? But looking back, I was actually quite happy that I took on those questions and I had a conversation with each person that came to me, because all these conversations really help you build up your understanding of like what is happening in all different aspects of the business, and really helped me to pick up like the internet and e-commerce. And eventually I switched to Alipay when they were developing their international business in 2014. And it helps, I think a lot of people were thinking, oh, the learning curve is too steep, I don't want to like invest into that, right? But I think it's personal choice. But if you're at a stage where you think, I want to change, then I think be open mind and then be very active in that learning process. Invest in yourself, whether it's taking the program, reading a lot of like the magazines, and now social media, you can subscribe to a lot of influencers' thoughts and really pick up the trends. I think those will be, and at the end, a journey for yourself. I think a lot of people joining the company, even people I interviewed, they focus somewhat on the outcome. What am I going to gain from this? But I think the journey itself is often understated. But I think that is like where you need to unlearn to learn. And then I think if you can show that dedication, you show that openness, show your ability, a capacity to learn, I think it will make you a much more employable, desirable talent for the company. I think from my perspective, I built a team fourfold. When I took on the national legal team, and when I joined the team, it was just 3 of us. So now we have like, over 300 people in the team looking after all these regions and businesses. So when I recruit, I actually like people who are able to, have a more generalist, experience, and then and a track record of like them picking things up quickly. I think the ability to learn is also very important. So if you can highlight that in your resume, and then really embrace the journey, enjoy it, there will be ups and downs. So also, I think one thing is also I learned is get a lot of support, be very open, very authentic, share your challenges with people around you. And then you will be able to get the support and encouragement from your support group and network. And another thing about ANT is, they're very strong emphasis on, having everyone to grow. So they think in order for them to train up leaders, they want to help each person to have a career path, development path to leadership position. So when I took on the team, I was a young manager, but I think, there was a lot of discussion, support to help me to look at the bigger picture, to connect the dots to what I do. And that really helps, So think about all these things, right? When you join a new industry,
what it is that you want, where your passion lies. And then at the end, in 5 years' time, I think this is a very cliche question, but it helps, to think about in 5 years' time what you want to achieve. And then, when you join an industry like the fintech industry, there's definitely going to be growth and opportunities. So how do you prepare yourself for those opportunities when they come? I think is important.
Carrie, so true. Preparing yourself, and I liked what both you and Chiwai both connected on. Chiwai, you were in that Star Hub meeting, and you were doing well at the task at hand, and you left an impression. Carrie, you were being asked in some cases, hey, can you look at this and that, not necessarily in your space, and then you did well at that too, and it expanded your breadth, your scope, and what you were interested in. The mindset that I'm hearing from both of you is do well at what you're doing right now and be curious and open, even if it seems like it's not in your scope, right, to get into it a bit. Thank you so much, Chiwai and Carrie, on that. Let me turn to Patrick now. And Patrick, it's exciting to hear about the growth. Chiwai showed us some great pictures, life-changing events. Clearly, Carrie's delivering to countries around the world now, really big opportunities. And while there's such strong growth, maybe some people are apprehensive. Well, if I join a startup, is it going to last? If I go into fintech, is it here to stay? What would you say are some ways to kind of support people or have them be thinking, what should they be thinking about as they go into this growth industry, great changes, etc.? Patrick.
Thanks, Keith, and really great for Carrie and Chiwai to share their experiences and their journey so far. I was voraciously trying to go through the questions that have been posed, and I will attempt the next couple of minutes to provide some answers. I've typed a few answers, so those of you who have posted a Q&A, I've answered 2 of the questions, but I'm trying to kind of, in my sharing and sort of like a sum up and summary, also touch on some of the questions that all of you have. And because, I'm not a fintech expert, although I did attend the Fintech Foundation program a couple of years back when Singapore Fintech Association as well as Ngee Poly and the Poly Fintechs had a program together with the Banking and Financial Services Union. That's the amount of knowledge. But having interacted with many of you and many in the ecosystem, I also get a sense and how this industry is like, what are the skills required, what are the people, and of course the industry in general. So I think I just want to make 3 points in answer to some of the questions as well as to reiterate some of the sharings earlier. I think firstly is we were quite fortunate here in Singapore because as I alluded to earlier, we have the entire ecosystem working together. And well, in a way, there are a lot of resources, a lot of funding support for all of you who are keen to undertake programs to reskill, upskill, multi-skill, second skill, and to pick up new knowledge. So I think we were in a fortunate position here in Singapore where to be able to have that very, very strong support mechanisms to pick up the skills. So that's one area which I hope all of you will take some time because in fact, SFA, NUS School of Computing, as well as BFSU, as well as all of us in the ecosystem have various programs, have a plethora of programs. So it's kind of difficult to give you the entire list. But all of them strongly supported by MAS as well as the Institute of Banking and Finance. So, do take some time to navigate, but they are all available on the virtual space. So that's one, skilling. Second one, which both Carrie and Chiwai alluded to is you heard their journeys, right? Most of them didn't start their careers well in fintech in particular. So as you can see, and also many in the interactions I have with employers as well as those in the fintech space in the last couple of years, is that you need not be a totally deep tech person. You need not be a R or C++ or even SQL or even UX UI designer, an expert. Actually, I believe most of our fintech firms are looking for people. Not just with deep tech. Yes, definitely we need software developers because of the platforms, but also people with domain expertise. Because if you want to sell or get your product or services to different geographies, to different segments, to different industries, we definitely do value people with the domain expertise. So that's why Prof. Keith alluded to earlier on, mid-career, not to worry. I've seen quite a number of our mid-career professionals entering this industry through the various professional conversion programs, through KEYS program as well. Not easy because the labor market is relatively, uncertain and uneven. So it's important for you to keep the options open, like what was alluded to earlier, but also more importantly, to stay adaptable. I think very, very important. I can't emphasize more the need to stay adaptable, because the industries, the requirements, the needs, the skills will change very frequently, and therefore you need to be very, in particularly in this next normal, you need to be highly adaptable. Yeah, working in hybrid situations, picking up new skills, like what all of us are doing. So second, besides skilling and the support system, second is adaptability and the mindset. Very, very important. I think fintech firms are looking at people who are very enthusiastic, wanting to be positive and proactive, and wanting to learn and pick up the skills in this space. And finally, I just like today's session, which is an opportunity, and of course, after this session, some of the catch up will be to stay connected to the industry. Myself being involved with placements for the past decade or so, and looking at how we can help those who may be looking for openings, looking to move up their careers, move into adjacent sectors, moving into new sectors. Very, very important to stay connected to industry, because we have seen many job seekers alike. I think one of the biggest challenges is that they do not know the industry well, and frankly, just by emailing your resumes and CVs may not help based on anecdotal experiences. Yeah. So important to stay connected to industry. That's why we have today's session, so that you know the employers in this industry, you know the various training institutions in this industry, you know Singapore Fintech Association, and Prof. Keith has his SG Fintech alumni, and of course the youth as well. We just launched a chapter. That's why we have the S2U, the Banking and Financial Services Union, as well as our Singapore Youth Fintech chapter, which just been launched just last month. So I think all these are platforms for you to stay connected with the industry. I think very, very important. I think the word of mouth is very, very important, because when employers want to hire and want to take references, the word of mouth achieves much more than an illustrious CV. And I can't emphasize more of that, because I mean that's my personal anecdotal experience and journey in the past couple of years in this space.
Patrick, thank you so much. So critical to get personal, is what you're saying. You reach out, get to the network, and collaborate, help each other. I want to go around the room and wrap up, because we're at the end of time. I can't believe we're beyond the end of time, actually. And thank you, Patrick, for answering some of the questions that are out there. For those of you who have put questions in, the networking session, we're going to be able to answer some more of those right there. But can I just get a quick wrap up, just 30 seconds? And I'd love to, Carrie, if you could go first, just 30 seconds. What should people be thinking about?
Yeah, I think about, how you want to make a change. I think part of the drive that I'm still here with the company is because I like what I do, and then I'm making impact change to everyone's daily life. So I think, again, as I emphasized, look into yourself, what interests you, what push you, and then take the leap of faith. I think sometimes you'll get pleasant surprise, more than you imagined, and then go with a company that aligns with your beliefs, and also a company that creates a very conducive environment for growth, for change, for teamwork, a very pleasant place to work. So every worker matters, right? So so that means you probably need to read a lot, do more research, and then understand what are the opportunities that would suit you, and then tell your own story, be authentic. And as long as you can explain why this interests you, why you want to spend time developing your career in that area, I think it will be a very fluid dialogue, rather than just cookie cutting and then try to fit yourself into that box. So that would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Carrie. And don't be cookie cutter. That's right. I love that point. Chi Wai, go ahead.
I would say going to fintech is certainly not for the faint-hearted, but a lot is with your attitude. If you have the right mindset, And to Carrie's point, it's really how you can leverage on your past experience. Yes, you may not have a direct experience for this role, but how do you relate those experiences and put in your own ideas and thoughts? I think it's really the attitude. I always look for the fire in the eyes. If you have the positive attitude, you want to help, you want to see how you can bring those thoughts to transform the world, improve the whole financial system, I would be happy to hear you. And networking, the connection is always important. Don't send an email and expect people to be calling you. So do be proactive to network with the many fintech, Singapore Fintech Association is the best place for you to even join as an individual. Know the founders, know people, and you never know, you can strike interesting conversation with a spark of an idea.
Thank you, Chiwai. And he's mentioned the Singapore Fintech Association. Maybe we'll have someone put that quickly into a link there so everyone can connect up with it. Well, listen, thank you so much, Patrick, Carrie, Chiwai. Some key takeaways from the discussion has been right at the top, mindset. No one here on the call is doing exactly what they did 20 years ago. In fact, we're all doing different things, and we all have had to change and transform ourselves along the way. Patrick made a very key point. You can't do this alone either. Network. I always say, go back to your khakis, go back to your primary school friends. What are they up to? Your NS buddies as well, and more. And say, hey, I noticed that you're here. But take a look on LinkedIn. I've given you the LinkedIn connections of all the speakers as well today. So they've all told me ahead of time, we're fine if you want to connect up. So great way to connect in and ask questions, follow through, and even connect in with the network, with the Singapore Fintech Association and more. You also got to hear, look, you maybe need to take on some things that aren't so comfortable, but try it out. Do your very best. That thing that you found uncomfortable or you felt was out of job scope may be the very next level to take you into as well. Look at what perhaps is the company's whole ethos, spirit. What are they looking for? What's their moral condition and ethics? Does it match with yours? See what works there as well. And finally, at the very beginning, we got to see all the different resources that the Banking and Financial Services Union provides. Consider being a member. Join up. Look at what's there today, because they're here to help all of us connect into the ecosystem, build our skill sets, get into classes, see what's possible as well. And then as you go down that journey, simply connect with others that are here on the call. Hey, maybe we were both there. What can we do together? Thanks, everyone, for joining. Chiwai, again, Carrie, Patrick, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah.
Turn it back over to our friend here, Kang Sang from BFSU. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. We are now going to start our breakout session. I will need everyone to click the link in the chat and head over there. So you'll get to speak to our panelists and mentors up close. So can I get everyone to click that link? I'll be posting it again.
We'll be following up with your questions there. So we'll see you in the other Zoom shortly.